Have you ever wondered what it feels like to live in a place where the mountains don't just surround you, they completely isolate you from the rest of the world? Where one winter storm is enough to cut off entire communities for weeks, sometimes months, leaving no roads, no easy escape, and no certainty of help. Can you imagine waking up in a village where every path you walk is carved along steep cliffs, and every journey depends on whether the weather decides to allow it or not? High in the Himalayas of Nepal, hidden deep between massive mountain ranges and silent valleys, there exists a place where modern life slowly fades away and survival becomes the only routine. A place where families still live in stone and mud homes. Not for tradition alone, but because those walls are the only thing standing between life and freezing winds. Where people still depend on yaks for survival, where food is stored months in advance, and where nature decides everything from travel to the hour you sleep. And the most surprising part, this is not the past. This is Manang. If you had to survive one full winter completely cut off from the world, do you think you could do it? Comment below, yes or no. A valley the world forgot. Far in the northern reaches of Nepal, where the Himalayas stop feeling like mountains and start feeling like walls, there is a valley pressed so deep into the earth that the rest of the world has largely forgotten it exists.
Winter life here is extremely difficult. For 2 to 3 months, the village is covered under 2 to 6 feet of snow.
Manang sits at 3,519 meters above sea level, locked inside the Annapurna Range, surrounded on every side by some of the highest peaks on Earth. To reach it, you don't drive, you journey through winding cliff-edge roads that crumble under rain, through narrow trails where one wrong step leaves nothing beneath you but open sky. This place was never meant to be easy to find. When you finally arrive, you understand why. Annapurna 2, Annapurna 3, Gangapurna, peaks so massive they don't just frame the valley, they swallow it. They decide when sunlight enters and when darkness falls. To the west stands Thorong La Pass, 5,416 meters high. For centuries, this single mountain pass was the only way in or out of Manang. When winter sealed that pass, the entire valley was sealed with it. No supplies coming in, no people going out. Just the community and whatever they had managed to store before the first snowfall. The Annapurna and Dhaulagiri ranges block the monsoon rains that drench the rest of Nepal. What remains in Manang is a cold, dry, high-altitude desert, where glaciers feed the rivers, wind moves through without resistance, and silence is not peaceful. There are no cities nearby, no highways, no signals reaching this deep into the stone. Just frozen peaks, open valleys, and a community that has survived inside this isolation. Not for years, not for decades, but for over 1,000 years.
I live far away from the world.
But now it feels like the world is finally hearing our story.
Subscribe. This channel exists for exactly this, for the places the world forgot to look.
In Manang, the day does not begin with an alarm. It begins with light. When the first sunlight touches the peaks of Annapurna II and Gangapurna, the village quietly wakes. No traffic, no noise. Just the sound of wind moving through stone alleys and the distant bell of a yak somewhere up the slope. The Manangi people, primarily of Tibetan origin, have lived by this rhythm for over 1,000 years. Very little about it has changed. The first task of every morning is the animals. Yaks are not pets here. They are everything. Their milk is turned into butter and cheese. Their wool becomes clothing. Their dried dung becomes fuel during months when wood is impossible to source. Without yaks, a family in Manang loses its heat, its food supply, and its ability to carry goods across mountain terrain. So before anything else, before breakfast, before children are called for school, the yaks are checked, fed, and moved to grazing land. Water comes next. It flows from glacial sources high above the valley, the same glaciers feeding the Yangdi River running below. Women and children often walk to collect it in the early hours, across paths frozen solid through most of winter. Inside homes built from thick stone to hold warmth against temperatures that drop well below freezing at night, cooking begins. The staple is tsampa, roasted barley flour mixed with butter tea. Simple, heavy, and built for one purpose: keeping a body functioning at over 11,000 feet above sea level. Buckwheat pancakes, dal, and dried meat are added depending on the season and what was stored. Children in Manang grow up with two educations, the one inside a classroom and the one the mountains deliver every single day. By the time a child is old enough to walk the trails alone, they already know how to read weather, manage animals, and prepare for a winter that waits for no one. Movement here is slow and deliberate, because at this altitude, the body cannot afford to waste energy. Every step is measured. Every task has a reason. This is not a slow life because nothing is happening. This is a slow life because everything matters. Summer is not rest, it is a countdown. Surviving in Manang is not a matter of comfort or convenience. It is a matter of preparation or nothing at all. When October arrives, the temperature drops fast. By November, Thorong La Pass begins to seal under snow. And when that pass closes, Manang closes with it. No fresh supplies coming in. No easy way out. No exceptions. Just the valley, the cold, and whatever the community managed to store before the first snowfall hit. This is why summer in Manang is not really summer. It is a countdown. Every warm month is spent preparing for the months when warmth disappears completely. Barley and buckwheat, the only crops tough enough to grow at this altitude, are harvested and stored with precision. Dried meat is prepared and packed away. Butter, cheese, and milk products from the yaks are preserved for the long winter ahead. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is left to chance. A family that stores well survives well. At the center of this entire survival system stands one animal, the yak. At 3,500 meters, most livestock simply cannot function. The air is too thin, the cold too severe, the terrain too unforgiving. But the yak was built for exactly this world. It grazes between 3,000 and 5,000 meters. Its thick coat holds warmth that no manufactured material can fully replicate. Its milk produces butter and cheese, two of the most calorie-dense foods available at this altitude. In Manang, households that lack enough labor to manage their own herd cooperate with neighboring families, pooling animals together, sharing grazing responsibilities, dividing the products. This is not charity. This is a survival system built over centuries, because these people understood long ago that no single family can outlast a Himalayan winter alone. Modern life calls this kind of existence difficult. The people of Manang simply call it home. When the trekkers leave, there is a version of Manang that trekkers see. Clear skies, mountain views, tea houses serving warm soup. And then there is the version that stays when the trekkers leave. When October ends, daytime highs in Manang fall between -10 and 5 degrees Celsius. At night, the cold goes deeper than any number can describe. Rivers freeze, paths disappear under snow. And when Thorong La closes, Manang does not slow down. It stops. No vehicles coming in, no fresh supplies, no medical evacuation without extreme difficulty. The small airport that once served the valley has had no commercial flights since 2012. The nearest proper hospital is hours away on roads that no longer exist in winter. The Himalayan Rescue Association operates a basic aid post near the village, equipped for altitude sickness and emergencies. But serious illness in deep winter means one thing: you wait or you find a way out on foot. This is not a dramatic description. This is simply what winter in Manang looks like. And the hardest truth is this: many people don't stay to face it. The population of Manang district, recorded at 6,527 in 2011, had already fallen to 5,658 by the 2021 census. Families, especially younger generations, migrate every winter to Kathmandu, Pokhara, or further south. Some go for months, others never come back. The ones who remain are the ones who always have. Older families, farmers who cannot leave their animals, people whose entire identity is tied to this valley in a way that cannot be packed into a bag and carried somewhere warmer. They wake up in homes built from stone thick enough to hold some heat. They burn stored fuel. They eat what was preserved in summer. They wait for the past to open, the same way their grandparents waited and their grandparents before them. Winter in Manang does not ask for your permission. It arrives. It takes over. And only the people who were always serious about this land are still standing when spring finally returns. Faith carved into every stone. In Manang, culture and religion are not separate parts of life. They are deeply woven into everyday existence, shaping how people think, live, and understand the world around them. The region is shaped by Tibetan Buddhist traditions that have been present here for centuries. This influence is visible everywhere, in prayer flags stretched across hilltops, in the small stupas placed along walking paths, and in monasteries that stand quietly inside the valleys. These are not decorations, they are part of daily life and belief. For the people of Manang, spirituality is inseparable from nature. Mountains, rivers, and wind are seen as part of a larger, sacred system. Many villagers believe that living in harmony with the environment is not just practical, it is spiritual responsibility. To damage what surrounds you is to damage something sacred. To take care of it is to practice faith. Monasteries play an important role in the community. They are places of learning, prayer, and gathering. Monks are respected members of society, and their presence shapes many cultural events, from small family rituals to larger seasonal ceremonies. Chanting, prayer wheels, and butter lamps mark the rhythm of each day. Festivals in Manang are simple but deeply meaningful. They follow seasonal cycles, harvest periods, and religious calendars. During these times, families come together, share food, and participate in traditional songs and dances passed down through generations. These gatherings are not entertainment. They are the glue that holds the community together in an environment where survival depends on cooperation. Stories, beliefs, and customs are preserved through oral tradition. Elders play a central role in passing knowledge to younger generations, not through books, but through lived presence and daily example. Living at this altitude, with this cold, with this level of uncertainty, it demands something beyond survival instinct. Faith gives people a sense of meaning and stability in a world where nature holds every card. It creates a connection between human life and the mountains surrounding it. A connection so old that separating the two no longer makes sense. What Manang quietly teaches. Manang is not just a remote valley in the Himalayas. It is a reminder that life does not always move fast, and survival does not always depend on modern comfort. Here, every home, every path, and every face carries the story of endurance shaped by mountains and time. A life where people are not separated from nature, but completely shaped by it. Where the seasons are not background detail, they are the entire calendar. Where community is not a social preference, it is a survival strategy. The world outside keeps changing at a speed that grows harder to follow every year. Apps replace conversations. Cities expand into land that once held silence. And the idea of living without a signal, a delivery, or a heated room feels increasingly foreign to most people alive today. But far in the northern reaches of Nepal, beyond the pass that seals shut every November, a community wakes up to the same peaks their grandparents woke up to. They feed the same kind of animals. They burn the same kind of fuel. They wait for the same pass to open. And they are still here. Not because they had no choice, but because this valley, cold, isolated, unforgiving, is the only place that has ever felt like home. This is Manang.